I'm also trying to make it so I can see everybody because it's like I can see most people, but not everyone. Anyway, I'll get there, guys. I am in my 30s now, so believe it or not. There we go. Now I can see you all. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Man, first of all, guys, I've got to start by just saying thank you for so many reasons. First of all, thanks for making this priority and being here. I'm gonna just I'm a pretty open book kind of person, so I'm gonna be open book right off the bat and tell you that behind the scenes, me and some of the other staff, I was like, man, I hope people show up tonight. I hope that they know about it, and and you guys have just blown away all of our expectations. Look at you making this a priority on time too. So this is just giving me full confidence in the staff that we have here for our day camp. But the second thank you guys, and this is the really big one. I am just so thankful that you guys said yes to being a part of the first ever Northview Kids day camp staff. Like that is a huge, huge deal. I am absolutely thrilled to be putting on this camp. I think it's going to be an incredible week with the kiddos who have signed up. And guys, please hear me on this. Like, it cannot happen without you guys saying yes and saying, yeah, I want to give my week. I want to commit my week to pouring into the lives of kiddos at Northview Church and maybe even just from our community. There's no way we could put on a camp for 200, which by the way, shout out, we've got 200, I think maybe as of today, about 203 kids coming to camp or 202, which is amazing. We get to put on a camp for 202 kids. That doesn't happen without an awesome group like you guys saying, yes, we want to be a part of this and make it a really, really great week. So let me start by giving general overview of what tonight's meeting is going to be about, and then we'll go from there. Tonight is really just high level details. I know you guys have signed up. You had a chance. You had an interview with someone over the phone, someone from our staff, and so you are aware at some level of what's going on. But there's probably part of you that's like, man, what exactly did I sign up for? What exactly did I get myself into? And so my goal for one thing is to give you even more clarity on, hey, here's what the week is going to look like at a very high level. Here's expectations we have for you, and here's just some things I really want you to start thinking about as you prepare to be a counselor or an assistant counselor here at our Northview Kids Day Camp. And so we'll start there. Before I do, the only people I'm going to introduce, and don't worry, guys, on the front end, you don't need to unmute or say anything. But I did just want to mention, and you can just wave. How about that? Two people I want to mention right off the bat are Darla Nelson and Jillian Bowser. They are both awesome. Darla has been behind the scenes doing just tons of details. I think if camp could be attributed to one person, I think it's fair to say probably Darla gets most of the credit. I mean, she's just incredible. And then Jillian is really important. I want to make sure you guys know who Jillian is because our camp, if you've noticed, it's a Northview Kids Day Camp, but it's powered by Northview Athletics. And so this is actually happening as a partnership of two ministries, Northview Kids and Northview Athletics. And so Jillian is our head of Northview Athletics. And so she is actually going to be, and she actually is in charge of the sports side of the camp and has been the one recruiting and is going to be training our coaches and our assistant coaches, which is just a different group of staff for this day camp. And then you'll see here in a little bit when I describe the camp itself, how that's all going to work and play together. So I want to make sure I introduce them. And then also, if you are one of our head counselors, can you just give a wave really quick? These are some of our amazing Northview Kids staff members. They are just incredible. They're all our different Northview Kids directors or Northview Kids staff. And they are going to function, I'm going to explain a little bit more here in a bit, but they're going to function really as your leaders for the week. And so I will, again, just dive into that here in a little bit. So let me start with this. I think this is really important. Let me start with why day camps matter and why your role in the day camps matter. I think what we're doing through Northview Kids Day Camp is so incredibly important, and it's because we are devoting a week to investing in the lives of our kids at Northview, and specifically investing in them as leaders, and even more than that, I should say, as Christians and as kiddos. We're investing them in their lives as followers of Jesus. And here's the really cool thing, guys, is that each one of these kiddos whose parents signed them up, at some level, their parents care about their spiritual development. And their parents are the people that God has entrusted to lead them spiritually. But we have a chance for a week to step in and be an additional support when it comes to their faith and get to invest in them and their faith. And so it is an incredible opportunity. I hope you don't take it lightly. I hope you feel even a bit of that responsibility of really caring well for our kiddos. And so that's why I think day camps matter, and I'm so excited to be part of it. Like I mentioned, we've got 202 kiddos who are going to be a part of Northview Kids day camp, and just absolutely thrilled to have that group. And then, like I mentioned, and a really vital part of making camp successful are our counselors. And so let me just really quick explain our structure of counselors at the Northview Kids Day Camp. So first group, I already mentioned, but are our head counselors. And so our head counselors they are our adults, our Northview Kids staff, team members, and they're the people that will be overseeing different groups throughout our camp. And so each group, or a good way to put it, is actually for this week is we're going to be countries. We are splitting up by grades, and each grade has multiple countries. And that country is going to be a group of where if you are a counselor, that means you will be assigned to one group. You'll have anywhere, depends on just our group sizes, but anywhere from about 12 to 16 kiddos in your group. As a reminder, this camp is for kiddos who've just finished kindergarten through just finished fourth grade. So incoming first through fifth graders is our camp. And so you will be assigned a group of kiddos in that age range. They're all going to be in the same grade. And your country, that's like your group for the week. Those are your kids. So if you're a counselor, you'll be assigned to the same group. You'll be investing in the same kiddos every single day. And as a counselor, you will have either one or two assistant counselors in your group. Again, a lot of that's going to depend on the size of the group, but you will have, so if you're an assistant counselor, you will also be assigned to a group. And so you will have your counselor who's going to be leading you out throughout the week, is going to be leading the charge, but you have the important role of being an additional leader in that group. And then our head counselors oversee multiple countries. Does that make sense? And so each counselor will have a head counselor who will be like their number one resource. For our head counselors, each of you will have you will either have two or three. Actually, most people have three. One person will have two countries that you're in charge of. And so again, that's a group with a counselor, with a group of assistant counselors. And so that's how the structure works. Guys, as a counselor, your number one person is going to be your head counselor. I'm going to leave it at that for now because we have an in-person training down the road, and that'll be your chance to get to know your head counselor, to get to know your assistant counselors or your counselors, and start to really form those groups. But just know there will be a group of kiddos that you are in charge of for the whole week. You'll have the same kiddos all week, and it's this consistent chance to really just invest in them and love them. And so that leads me into, I would love to just talk about expectations for a counselor and for an assistant counselor. You might be, again, you signed up, you've been accepted onto our team, but you might be thinking, okay, what does that mean for me? What does it actually look like to be a good counselor? And so I'm going to jump in right now with something that we like to call MITs. So MIT stands for most important tasks. MIT is most important tasks. And so I identified three things that I think this is the most important part of being a counselor or assistant counselor. And if you are committed to doing these three things, you will get to the end of the week and you will have rocked it. You will know I did a great job as a counselor or assistant counselor. And so the first one is represent Jesus. That's the number one MIT. You guys got to know that as these kids come into a camp, as they come into our Northview Kids Day Camp and they're put into your group and you are their leader, you are the person they're looking to as an example. So I want you to start just thinking about that right now and preparing for that, knowing, okay, I'm going to have a group of kiddos that are going to be looking to me in my example. Not just am I nice, but am I living the way Jesus would want me to live? Am I treating other people the way that Jesus would have me treat them? And so number one thing is represent Jesus well. I'm just going to read a little something that I wrote because I think it's a good way to summarize it. It says, the whole week, your kids will be watching you. How you talk, what you talk about, how you treat others, how you treat your supervisors, how you engage with teaching moments, how you react under stress, all of it. So I don't say this to stress you out. I say it to remind you that this is an amazing opportunity to be a great representation of Jesus to the kids you will be investing in. And guys, where I got that from, just, I didn't just make it up. That actually comes from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27, when it talks about that you were made in the image of God. You were actually made to represent God here on earth. And so this is another way that you get to do that to some kiddos who will just look up to you so much. And let me just say this, as someone who grew up going to camps, guys, and I had counselors, I mean, like I said, I'm old. This is like 20 years ago that I was going to camp. I can still name a few of my counselors that I went to when I went to summer camp. I remember the impact they had on my life. And so I just want to remind you guys, like, that's a big deal. And so remember as you're stepping in to just do your very best to represent Jesus to kiddos. Okay, this is a chance. If anyone wants to, feel free to raise your hand. You can either do it physically or you can push the little virtual button to raise your hand because I've got a question that I want to ask and I would love for input if anyone would like to chime in and answer. So my MIT number two, again, that most important task number two is to be intentional. So I'm curious, does anyone know or would anyone want to chime in and tell me what, in your own words, how would you define being intentional? Anyone want to be brave? Okay, I see a hand. It looks like from MJ. Feel free if you want to unmute real quick and tell us what do you think?
Um, I would say like being intentional is like really like having thought behind everything you do, like having care behind everything you do, and like the intention would to be Christ-like. So
Mhm.
having care and having thought into everything and incorporating being Christ-like.
Love it. Fantastic. Way to go. I honestly, I love it. Especially that very first thing you said is having thought behind everything you do. Guys, it is so easy to go through life just on autopilot and not really thinking about what I'm doing in any given moment. Guys, as a counselor or an assistant counselor at the North Kids Day Camp, you have got to be intentional, which means you make the most of every moment. You put thought into every single moment. Let me read what I wrote about being intentional and then I'll share a little bit more. It says, like I said, make the most of every single opportunity this week. Be ready to be all in. It's never about just getting to or getting through the next activity. All of it is a chance to minister to kids. So be an initiator. I think this is really important. I'm going to pause here because this is important. So actually, I'll do the same thing. Does anyone know when I say be an initiator, what do you think I mean by that? I'm curious. What does it mean to be an initiator? Anyone want to be brave and maybe say what you think I mean? Chloe, I see your hand. Feel free to unmute and chime in.
Yeah, so I think it just means to go first, like be the one to get out your comfort zone and like be the one to start the conversations, being super intentional with like getting to know them and like going first, I think would be the biggest thing.
Yes. Man, you guys are starting to make me think you should be leading this meeting. No joke. I'm like, Chloe, that is a fantastic answer. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's going first. Guys, you got to, okay, put yourself in the shoes of a second grader really quick, those tiny little second grade shoes. And you are going to camp, and maybe you've got a friend with you, but maybe you don't. And you just got put into a group, and you walk into a room, and you don't know anyone. You like, I mean, just think about that. You're terrified, right? Let's just be honest and say, like, you're terrified. Like, who am I going to be accepted or people know me? So here is the beauty of counselors and assistant counselors. You have already raised your hand to say, hey, I'm going to go first. Like, I don't need to wait for a kiddo to walk up to me and say, hey, what's your name? No, no, no. I'm a counselor and assistant counselor. I'm going to walk up to them and I'm going to initiate. I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? What's your name? Where do you go to school? What do you like to do for fun? What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite show? Is there any video game you like? I mean, be the person who's just asking question after question because your intention is just to get to know your kids at such deep level and make sure they know that you care about them. Here's another part of being intentional, guys, and this is going to be so key. Get to know the names of your kiddos right off the bat. Here's a little hint. I'll talk more about this later, but you're going to get information about your group ahead of time. My number one suggestion to you would be get to know the names ahead of time. And then when you meet your kids day one, call them by their name and call them by their name multiple times throughout the day. Because for one thing, it will help you learn their name. And as a second thing, it also will make them feel known. And the moment if you're feeling like you're in a room where I don't really know if anyone knows me, does anyone care about me? If you're called by your name, all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, someone knows me. I feel seen. Does that make sense? You got a thumbs up if you're like, I'm with you on that, Aaron. That makes sense. Awesome. So I'd say again, be an initiator. Go first. Never just sit around and wait for a kiddo to come and talk to you. So I'm going to keep reading what I wrote here about being intentional. It says, don't wait, like I said, for kids to initiate conversation with you. That's your job. If you're running behind and your group has to wait, that's time to connect or play a game. So let me pause there and talk about this because this is important too. Guys, I think at camp, I think basically there should be no downtime. I'm like, unless a kiddo really genuinely needs to like rest and get in the shade and just chill, there's no time of just sitting, crossing our arms or twiddling our thumbs and being like, what in the world are we doing? No, no. Any time that there's a break is a time for you to go, okay, guys, let's circle up. Let's play a quick game of Duck Duck Goose. Let's play a quick game of 20 questions. Let's play well, I mean, you are the people that are like, this is about having fun, having a blast. We are going to make the very, very most of each and every moment we have together. And another hint, we're going to actually provide you with some resources. So you might be someone that you're like, well, what if I get in a moment? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. You'll actually have a binder. I'm going to get into that here in a second, but you'll actually have a binder that is going to help you and give you some resources of fun camp songs to sing or games to play and things like that. And we've got a packed schedule. I'm going to go through it here in a bit. So you will have, again, plenty of time to do all that. So okay, let me see here. Okay, yep. So, and then if you're, and I said another example, if you're walking from one station to another, sing a camp song. Be the person who's always thinking, how can I make the very most of this moment? How can I make every single moment fun? That's your job as the counselor or assistant counselor. So, no, MIT number one is represent Jesus. MIT number two, be intentional. MIT number three is lead the way. Be a leader. That's what we have brought you on this team to do, is to be a leader. I'm going to read what I said here and I'll dive into it a little bit more. So it says, so what I wrote is, this week, you are a leader. Leaders don't wait for someone else to remind them they're supposed to do or what they're supposed to be doing. Leaders say yes when they're asked to help, no matter how minuscule the task might be. Leaders know where they are supposed to be and when they're supposed to be there, and they take responsibility for making sure their group is there on time. Leaders ask for help when they need it. They don't just wing it. We're going to give you guys everything you need this week to succeed, but we expect you to be leaders who take everything we give you and run with it. Does that make sense? Being a leader at Northview Kids Day Camp as a counselor, assistant counselor, it's a bit of a balance, because we're going to give you stuff and we expect you've got to run with it. You've got to lead your group. Now, that doesn't mean never ask for help. That's exactly what these head counselors are for. There may be moments, we'll get into more detail down the road, but there might be moments where maybe a kiddo's acting up a little bit, or they're just having a really hard day. They're having a hard time listening. And you're like, man, I just don't know really what to do. That's a great chance to pull in your head counselor. Maybe there's a moment where a kiddo is not feeling very well and you're like, are they just, being a little dramatic, or are they sick? Well, you don't have to make that decision. We're going to have a nurse on staff and you can call her and she can be the one to determine whether or not they're going to just need a little bit of extra help. Does that make sense? So be a leader, be the person who's going first, and be responsible. Like I said, we're going to give you information ahead of time, and we expect you to read it and be aware of it. We expect you, when you come in on day one, to not go, okay, so what are we doing today? What's the schedule for today? No, we're going to give that to you ahead of time. We expect you to read through it and know, okay, I know where I'm going and where I'm supposed to be. And yes, I might have a few questions along the way. Of course. Again, that's why your head counselor is there and is going to be able to help you along the way. So again, really quick, I'm just going to run through those three things one more time. Most important task of being a counselor, assistant counselor. Number one, represent Jesus. That's the most important one. Number two, be intentional. Make the most of every moment. And number three, lead the way. Be an example setter. Does that make sense? Thumbs up if you're with me and you're like, I got it, Aaron. Okay. Good, good, good. Okay. So what I would love to do next is give you a little bit of an idea. Again, I'm just going to go high level. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty details here of every aspect of camp. That's going to be more for what our in-person training is for. That's when we'll get into more detail. But I do want you guys to start to get an idea of what this camp is actually going to look like. So let me go through. Before I do, though, I will just pause, time out for a second, because I've mentioned something, and I want to give just a little bit of clarity on that. Like I said to you guys, I've said, hey, we're going to give that to you ahead of time. We're going to give that to you ahead of time. So one thing to just be aware of is that we are compiling what we're calling a counselor binder right here, which, first of all, check this out. That's our summer day camp logo going on here. I think it's fun. We've got t-shirts. You'll be given a t-shirt that will say, camp staff. They're awesome. Kiddos are going to be given a t-shirt. And one of our activities day one is going to be, they have fabric markers and they'll get to color in the logo themselves. And so that's going to be just like super fun. They're going to have, people from their group. You guys will be able to sign their shirts. It's going to just be super, super fun. So every group, when I say group, I should be clarifying, every country, which is a group, again, that has about 12 to 15 kiddos. It's got a counselor. It's got an assistant counselor. Every group will be given a binder. And this binder, our goal is to give you absolutely everything you need to succeed at camp. And so it's going to have your schedule. It's going to have games that you can play, songs that you can sing, fun ideas for group activities or lessons. It's going to have your curriculum. All that kind of stuff is going to be in that binder. And so know that we're compiling it, and you will be given next week a virtual version of a part of that binder. Some of the stuff that we're like, we want you to really start reading through things like our expectations, things like some of our safety policies, things like that. Just things that we want you to start reading through and being aware of. So you'll get that next week virtually. And then when you come to our in-person meeting, you will get a physical copy of the contents of this binder that, again, we'll want you to start reading through and be familiar with. And then on the day of, that's what you get on the training is really going to be a packet. On the day of, we'll hand you your actual binder. Every group will have one binder. And so that's going to be something that the counselor's in charge of. But at any moment, a counselor can hand it off to their assistant counselor if they want them to help lead an activity or something like that. So again, that's how we're going to be resourcing you with all different just things that you need, again, to succeed at camp. Okay, let me give you real quick an overview of Northview Kids Day Camp powered by Northview Athletics. First of all, our theme, it is definitely a sports theme. Our theme for the week is that we are Team Jesus. Okay, so everything we do is going to have a sports feel and a sports theme to it. Our teaching times will all have kind of like a sports language. You'll start to notice that. But again, we are Team Jesus. And guys, I'll just say right off the bat, we'll talk about this more in our training. But I would love that to become a chant for the week. I would love it to be something that when you get done with your small group times, like with your country, you stand up, you pray, hands in the middle, and you go, 1, 2, 3, we are Team Jesus. You see what I'm saying? Starting to get a picture of that. I would love for that to become a battle cry of our camp as we talk about we are Team Jesus. And so as a theme for the week of we are Team Jesus, each day we're going to be focusing on a different characteristic of someone who's on Team Jesus, someone who is a Christian. What does it mean to be on Team Jesus? What does it look like to be on Jesus's team? And so each day we're going to be talking about a different aspect of that. I'm not going to go into the specifics of the daily curriculum because we'll have time for that down the road, but I'm really excited about that theme. And then to continue that theme, to make it feel a little bit like the World Cup or Olympics, like I said, every group has been assigned a country. And so at this point, I believe, Darla, give me a thumbs down if I'm wrong, but I think we're at 14 groups. So that means okay, awesome. That's 14 different countries represented. Each group, your country is going to be given a flag that you're going to carry along with you the whole week. You'll be able to wave that around, have a little bit of like country pride in that, some excitement around that. And so that's how you're going to be organized. Again, you're going to be broken up into countries to continue that sports theme. And then, like I said, our curriculum will have a lot of sport theme to it. Another just fun aspect, or actually, let me do this. I'm going to go over the schedule, and then I'll share with you just a cool thing that we get to do this week that's like just a fun add-on. So here's how here's like the basic breakdown of what a day at camp is going to look like. And you know what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second because I think it'd be helpful. I know it probably won't be super easy if you are on a phone, but for those who can see it, you guys will get this down the road, so no worries. But I think it'd be easier if you actually see this. And so give me 1 second to share the schedule. Okay. I think we're good. Can someone give me a thumbs up if you're seeing a Excel document? Awesome. Okay. So I'll just motion a little bit. So here's what a basic day at camp is going to look like. So you guys each day will be getting to camp at 8:15. Drop off for kiddos is at 9 o'clock. That's what we're telling parents, but we're going to get there at 8:15. Every day we're going to do a brief huddle as a group to make sure we can go over any important details. Then you'll go to your room. Which sounds like I'm your parent and I just punished you. I'm not punishing you. Don't go to your room right now. You know what I mean? But you will be assigned a room. Each country will be assigned a room. And then each day, parents will bring their kids to their country's room. That's where the counselor will be in charge of check-in and check-out. We'll go over the details of how to do that really well because that's a security thing. We want to make sure we do really well. And so drop-off, check-in will be happening, we know, around 8:45 to 9:15 because we know parents will get there a little early. Some parents will get there a little bit late. That's just how it works. Day one, parents will be registering at the main church and then bringing their kids to you. You guys each day will be stationed in your room. You'll be in the same room each day for that initial drop-off for your country. So your kids arrive, everyone's checked in, awesome. 9:15 to 9:30 is what we're calling a huddle time. Think of it like a small group. So you guys will be given a bit of a curriculum, and what it is really going to be a preview of what we're talking about that day. So it'll be a small group discussion. You'll have some questions. You'll have a Bible verse to go over. And what it'll do is it just helps prepare our kids for what the theme is and what we're talking about that day. So that's about 9:15 to 9:30. At about 9:40 is when we will jump into our first camp activities. And this is how our camp is going to function on a day-to-day basis, is that we have split the camp basically in half. And so half of the countries, the younger countries, kindergarten through first grade, will be group A, and then the other half of the country will be group B. And so depending on which half of the camp you're in, that will determine what your morning activity is. And so if your country is in group A, that means you'll be doing camp activities in the morning. At the same time, if you're in group B, that means you'll be doing one of our sports stations. So our sports stations, like I mentioned, are going to be run by Jillian. At our sports stations, we have three different stations. There's going to be soccer, flag football, and basketball. And the way it works is that every country will have one day dedicated to one of those sports. So if you're a country, if you like whatever country you are, let's say you're Great Britain, well, then Monday, I'm just throwing stuff out there. It's not the way it's actually going to work. But like Monday is your basketball day. Tuesday is your soccer day. Wednesday is going to look a little different. I'll get there in a second. And then Thursday is your flag football day. So every country will get one day at a sports station. Does that make sense? It's either going to be in the morning or the afternoon, depending on what group you're in. At the same time as those sports stations are going on, run by our coaches and assistant coaches, there's also something called camp activities. So camp activities, we'll get more details later, but the good way to think about it is there are 4 quadrants of camp activities, okay? One is going to be water games. One is going to be big inflatables. One is going to be group games. And then one is going to be kind of like outdoor yard games. So we have a rotation going where each group will be able to participate in one or two of those quadrants, really 2 quadrants per day, and rotate through so you get to experience each one. What that means is that not every group will get to do the inflatable quadrant on Monday, but they will be able to do it on Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. So again, the morning, the whole camp is split into 2 groups, and either you are going to be doing camp activities or you're going to be doing sports. Then in the middle of the day, there's a break. At right about at noon, we will then stay in our 2 halves of the camp. And if you're group A, you'll be eating lunch. During lunch, you'll head back to your kind of home base room where you did your huddle in the morning, where you do check in and check out, and you'll eat your lunch. Kiddos are going to be responsible for bringing their own lunch each day. You all, as staff, we're going to be providing you lunch each day. So know that you guys are covered. You're going to be good in that regard. But that's going to be time to eat lunch if you're group A, while group B is doing our large group session. That's going to be happening in the student building at the Carmel campus. And think of it like a big VBS program. If you've ever maybe been to FX before, or family experience, it's going to be similar to that. There's going to be games, there's going to be a lesson, video teaching, worship songs. That's going to, again, be that large group time where, again, the main message for the day or lesson is going to happen. And then at about 12:40, that's about a half hour to eat or be in session. Then they'll swap. What was I about to say? Swap. That's what I was going for. They will swap at that point. And then group B will be eating lunch while group A is getting to do that large group session. And then after all that's done, once you've eaten your lunch, you've had a large group, you'll go back out for the afternoon. And the afternoon session, you'll then switch. If you did camp activities in the morning, you'll then be doing your sports in the afternoon. If you did sports in the morning, you'll be doing your camp activities in the afternoon. So the basic flow, I hope this is starting to make at least a little bit of sense. It definitely will once we get going on day 1. I promise you that. But is that everyone will be doing camp activities every day. Everyone will be doing a sport each day. Everyone will be doing large group and everyone will be doing lunch. But we've split the camp in 2 so that we can rotate who's doing what. So for you, the good news is you don't need to know everyone else's schedule. All you need to know is your group schedule. You'll just need to know where your group's going to be. And that's, again, something that we're going to have laid out for you. So you know exactly where your team needs to be, whether you're in group A or group B, if you need to be at a station, what station you need to be at. It'll all be made really clear. And you guys will just, again, need to know where you're supposed to be. You're just responsible for your kiddos and your schedule. So I know that sounds like a lot, but just remember, all you're responsible for is going to be your country and where your country's supposed to be. But I think what that does, it makes for just a really fun camp where things are constantly changing. There's variety, so much fun. Then at the end of the day, the last thing we're going to do is head back to your room where you did check in, and you'll have your end of the day huddle. So just like you had at the beginning of the day, a little small group time, there's going to be a small group time to end the day and really just kind of drive home that main lesson from the day. And then after your huddle time in the afternoon, parents will be picking up about 4 p.m. We'll do pickup. We'll make sure everyone gets to their parents safely. And then after camp, my goal, please hear me on this, my goal, but we need to be a little flexible. My goal is that each day I'd get you guys out of there by 4:45. I think it's going to be really important for us to huddle up at the end of the day, talk about the day, debrief things, give announcements for the next day. But I would love to get you out of there by 4:45 if possible. The only exception I want you to be prepared for is Thursday. Thursday is our last day of camp. The camp runs Monday through Thursday, as you guys know. Thursday is our last day of camp, and after camp on Thursday will be cleanup. And there's going to be a lot to do, but I'm sure you've heard the phrase "many hands make light work," and so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here since you guys went through that. But so Thursday, as we all stick around and have a fantastic attitude, we will be able to knock out all the cleanup really, really quick with a team like this. And so that's the day. I just really want you guys to be flexible as far as how late we're going to go, but we'll let you guys know, and hopefully it's just maybe just a couple hours of cleanup. So that is our basic schedule. Here is the fun addition. So like I mentioned, we've got 3 sports stations. You might be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, Aaron, we've got 4 days. We're going to do a sports station each day, but what about the 4th day? Great question if you're wondering that. Wednesday, we get to do something really special. We are going to be putting on a field day. And so think about back, I mean, I don't know how late they do field day nowadays. Maybe it is a middle school thing. But I know for sure in elementary school, I hope you got to participate at some point in a field day where it's just tons of fun, like little games, little competitions, and all that. So Wednesday, instead of doing a sports station, we're going to be putting on a field day. So Group A in the morning will be doing field day, and Group B in the afternoon we'll be doing a field day. And here's a really cool thing is that's actually going to be put on by some of our Northview staff team. So some of our pastors and staff from all our different campuses are coming together and are going to help us put on that day. They'll be in charge of each station. And what it's going to look like, sorry, it looks like my screen's jumping a lot. So I apologize if that's happening. Maybe it's just for me. But okay. Seems like maybe it's better on your end than mine. But here's the really cool part of that day is that there's going to be 10 stations, and each country, you will rotate through each station. They're going to be quick. We're talking like 7-minute competitions, like a quick little thing. You're trying to earn as much points as possible. And then at the end, you'll have a scorecard. And at the end, you'll be keeping track of your score. And the country with the most points at the end of field day wins field day. And so it's just a really cool way to just change up the pace a little bit, do something a little bit different, but still have a ton of fun. So only thing I'll mention before I move on is something about the sports stations. So each sports station will have a coach, an assistant coach who will really be giving the instructions for, hey, here's what we're doing for basketball, for example. We're going to be doing different drills, different things you're going to be practicing. There'll be a little bit of maybe scrimmaging or fun games. Again, a lot of it's going to depend on the age group because what you can do for someone who just finished up kindergarten, a kiddo who just finished kindergarten, and a kiddo who just finished 4th grade is very different. But they'll be in charge of leading that out. But please hear me, guys. You guys are like their number one supporters. That's your goal, is that when you're at a sports station, they're leading the way, but you're helping your kids pay attention. You're helping them with any questions they might have. If they're struggling with something, you're still very involved in the whole thing, even though they're leading the way. On the other hand, when you're doing camp activities, you are the one that is in charge of that station. Some of them are a little more like free play, like inflatables. And so all you're doing is just, making sure that they're following the rules and only 2 kids are on the obstacle course at a time or something like that. Other ones, like the group games quadrant, there's going to be a lot more leadership needed on your part where you're going to, okay, like we're going to all play red light, green light, or we're going to all play duck, duck, goose, or we're going to all play, there's going to be tons of different options you can do, but you're going to be actually leading that game out. And so just know that at the sports stations, you are going to be more of like a supporter for the coaches. At the camp activities, that's when you're really going to be leading the charge for your country. Okay, that was a ton of information. Give me a thumbs up if you're like, Aaron, I think I'm starting to track with you. Okay, I see a lot of thumbs up, even if you're lying in this moment, or at least just maybe just wanting me to feel good. I appreciate it because it means you're paying attention at the very least. Okay, so that is, again, a big overview. I hope that is helpful and gives, again, a good idea of what we're doing. A couple other just like I'm just going to list these really quick, again, just to give you a basic idea of kind of things that you'll be doing throughout the day and things that are expected of you. And then we're actually going to wrap up a little early. I know this was on the calendar till 9, but we'll wrap up a little bit early. And all I'll do is just share with you just things to expect next and things to as we move forward. And so here's just a couple things, a couple other daily tasks or expectations that are part of being a counselor, assistant counselor. So one, be aware of all camp safety protocols, which is going to be a separate document you guys will be able to see and read through, and ensure your group is adhering to them. Guys, this is something that's really important. You know, we are being entrusted with 200 kiddos for the week. We need to make sure we're creating really safe environments. And so a big thing that you're going to read about is like our bathroom policy to make sure we're following a good, healthy bathroom policy for our kiddos to make sure they can go to the bathroom when they need to, but they're always in a very appropriate environment. And so we've got standards for all that that are going to just be really, really helpful. There's going to be things like medical, like who is our nurse. You'll get to know Leanne a little bit, and she's going to be awesome. But like what to do if a kiddo gets hurt. There's also going to be a big part of security and safety for this is our checkout process. And so making sure you all know when a parent comes to pick up their kids, just like I know many of you serve in NVKids, you know it's really important that at checkout we ensure that a kid is going home with exactly who they should be going home with. And so those are all really, really important parts of camp, and you guys will be owning a major part of that. And again, you'll be able to see all of our policy in that coming up soon. Another big thing you're going to be doing is greeting parents at drop off and pickup with a smile. Guys, the number one way you can ensure or inspire confidence in the parents as they're dropping off, you got to think as much as a kiddo might be nervous, a parent probably feels nervous too, dropping off their kid going, okay, I trust you for the week. Do good, you know? And so the best way you can inspire confidence is greeting them professionally, maybe even shaking a hand and saying hi, giving a big smile, introducing yourself by name. You should not be looking down. You should not be mumbling, but going, "Hey there, my name's Aaron. I get to be your son or your daughter's counselor for the week. I'm so excited. It's going to be an awesome week. Please let me know if you need anything." Things like that, guys, is just going to inspire so much confidence in our parents to make sure they know you guys are ready to just lead really well. So greeting parents, making that good first impression. Like I said, know the camp schedule. That's going to be a big part of your day, each day, and knowing where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Knowing the huddle curriculum ahead of time. You guys, like I said, you're going to be given a binder, and you'll have a chance to read the small group curriculum ahead of time. Please hear me. Please do not sit down for a huddle time and be reading it for the first time in front of them. You're not going to know what to say. You're not going to know how to respond. And so would really, really encourage you read through that ahead of time. And then, like I said, look for opportunities throughout the day to do impromptu camp songs or games or lessons. Again, we're going to provide ideas for all of that. You don't have to come up with all of it. But there should be very few moments this week where kids are just sitting around doing nothing. We should be sending home kids exhausted to their parents. Please hear me. And I promise, as a parent, if we do that, parents are going to be like, "You guys are doing something right. Thank you. My kid had a blast and they're exhausted, and it's because you guys did something great there." And so again, very little downtime. Communicate with your head counselor anytime you have a question or concern. Don't hesitate to go to them and ask a question and ask for help. And then another thing I'll just mention is being engaged during the large group time. We're calling it halftime because again, sports, because it is literally the halfway mark in the day. So during our halftime large group program, be engaged. If we're doing a worship song, don't be standing there with your arms crossed. Do the motions and sing the songs because your kiddos are going to be looking to your example. And so be engaged, be listening, help your kids to make sure they're listening really, really well. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just share a couple things to be aware of as we're moving forward. You might be asking, okay, this was helpful. I hope even coming out of this, you're like, okay, you know what? I've got a little better idea of what I'm doing, what I signed up for. And I hope, guys, you feel excited. To be honest, I hope that this just gets you excited for what we get to do in just a couple weeks. But here are a couple of things that you might be saying, okay, but what's next? Like, what should I be expecting? So here are just a few things as we move forward, and then we'll wrap up our call for tonight. So number one, this is a really practical thing, but obviously, one thing I'm very encouraged by is obviously you guys are all here. You guys all found out that this was happening. So communication clearly at this point is actually going pretty well, which is great. It means you were aware of this meeting and you joined in, you made it a priority. Awesome. But we do have a few people, I'm not calling anyone out by name, but we've got a few people that have their phones that are blocked. Your numbers are blocked. So what that means is that we send messages through our database to the whole group, but you might not be receiving text. So I would just say this, if you have not received any texts about day camp yet, giving you information about a meeting or something like that, that probably means that either your phone is blocked somewhere, maybe on your phone, or your number might be blocked in our system. And so I would really encourage you, write this down if you need to. If you're like, wait a minute, yeah, I haven't received anything. I just found out from my parents or something like that. Then all you got to do is just talk to your parents about it. Just say, hey, I haven't gotten any texts. I know they're going to be sending texts because they're the ones that want to make the decision. They might say, you know what, that's okay. They can text my number and I'll make sure you know everything you need to know. That's great if that's how we want to do it. But if you, again, they might say, okay. And then what you can do is reach out to Darla and we can get your number basically like approved in our database so that we can send you those texts and we can release that block. So again, you're fully in the loop. We just want to make sure you get all the information that you need to get. Another thing that I mentioned, that resource packet is going to be coming to you soon. Our goal is next week to get that out to you. And I just say, as soon as we send it out, we're going to send it an email and everything. Just start reading through it. Start combing through it. I know you just wrapped up school and you're like, man, Aaron, you're giving me homework. But this is a job, guys, and job comes with some work. It does come with some homework. And so go ahead and just start reading through it, become really familiar with that stuff that we're sending you. That's all the most important stuff we want to get you familiar with early on. And like I said, it's going to go over a lot of the stuff. Everything I said in this meeting is going to be covered in there. So if you're a note taker, I've noticed some of you taking notes, which is awesome. Way to go. That's a good thing. It helps you learn. But we are going to be able to pass it to you in that digital form as well. And so don't feel like, if you're like, I didn't take any notes, no worries. We're going to get you that information. Two more things. One of the most important ones I've mentioned in-person training. Guys, this is super, super important. I know, again, because you know about this meeting, I assume you know about that one, but it is June 11th. That's a Thursday night. It's literally 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today on June 11th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Carmel campus. Okay. We're going to be meeting in the main building. You can come in just the main entrance right there by the big info hub. We're going to be in the room that's, if you're familiar with the campus, all glass. That's where we're going to be doing our training. And guys, that is just going to be such an important training to get in person, to get to know your counselor, your assistant counselor, your head counselor, to start to walk the property a little bit and really start to envision what it's going to look like. That's the Thursday before camp starts on Monday. And so we just want to make sure we come out of that Thursday meeting feeling so ready for camp on Monday morning. So please, please, please make that a priority. Make sure you're there. Make sure your parents are aware of it. Again, June 11th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Carmel campus. That's going to be very important for an in-person training. Last thing I'll just throw out there is we have such an awesome group of you guys. We are looking for one more counselor and two more assistant counselors. As a reminder, a counselor needs to be at least 16 years old in order to be eligible to be a counselor. And then an assistant counselor can be anywhere from 12 to 15 years old. So we need one more counselor and we need two more assistant counselors. So I want to throw that to you guys because you might have some friends who would want to join in and might want to be a part of this amazing week. And so I would really encourage you to reach out. Obviously, you applied, so you have the link somewhere to apply. We are also going to send you the link tomorrow. And so you could have that and pass it on to a friend and say, hey, you should apply and be a counselor with me, or you should be an assistant counselor with me. So I'd really encourage you, I'd ask you guys actually to make sure we've got a full team here to send that out to other people and say, hey, I really want you to consider doing this. It is going to be an amazing week. So one more time, one counselor, two assistant counselors. Counselors must be at least 16 years old. Assistant counselors must be at least 12 years old to apply. Okay, that was a lot of information. I hope it's helpful though. Here's how I would love to close is to pray. Guys, what it makes me think of, and really something that I've been learning a lot this year, and God has really been bringing on my mind, is a passage from the book of Psalms, and a verse that says, unless the Lord builds the house, the workers labor in vain. And that is obviously that is an analogy, but what it's speaking to is saying, hey, unless God is in it, we're not doing anything that's all that important. And whatever we're doing, we're missing the point. And it's saying that we are really working in vain if God is not behind it. Guys, I can tell you, I feel so confident that God is in this camp. I know, I just know it. But also, we need to be consistently inviting him in and saying, God, We don't want to just do our own thing. We want to follow you, and we want God to really lead the charge for this camp. And so, here's another chance to be brave. I'm going to pray for us. I would love for one person to volunteer to also just chime in and pray for us and pray over the Northview Kids Day Camp powered by Northview Athletics. So, anyone want to raise their hand and be brave and pray for us? There we go. I see a hand. Okay, unmute because I can't totally tell who it is.
It's me, Michaela.
Oh, yes, Michaela. Awesome. Let's go. Okay. So how about this, Michaela? You lead us off, and then I will close in prayer. And I'm just going to celebrate something because you guys celebrate something. Michaela just went first. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. And that's not a down on anyone else, but I know it's intimidating to pray in public, but that's what we're talking about when it says, hey, someone who's willing to go first. So awesome job, Michaela. I know it's intimidating, but hey, we're just talking to God, who loves us more than anyone and knows us more than anyone. So you lead us off, and then I'll close this in prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father God, thank you so much for blessing me and each and every single one of us with each other. God, I pray that we lean on each other and rely on each other as we move forward. And I pray that we have so much fun at this camp and we invite you into everything that we do, not with our own intentions or our own motives. And we have just so much fun.
Yeah, God, we are just so thankful. What an opportunity. How cool is it? It just blows my mind that we have over 200 kids that want to join in and be a part of this camp on the very first year. What a gift, God. What a gift to have that kind of influence. And so, God, we are excited and we also recognize it's a responsibility. And God, would you just put on each and every one of our hearts the responsibility of what it's going to take to just do a great job leading these kids for this day camp. God, would just put it on our hearts to give it our all this week, to pour everything out and to invest in these kids and do the very, very best that we can. God, we recognize there's a lot of planning that we're going to do on our end. There's a lot of work we're going to do on our end. But again, none of it matters if you're not in it, God. And so we know you, as God, you are the one who changes hearts. You are the one who impacts lives. And so, God, we are asking you to start preparing ahead of time. Another cool thing is, God, I think about how there's of all these counselors, assistant counselors, there's going to be kids that they have never even met them before at this point, God. But you have already, in your sovereignty, you have ordained for them to be together that week. And by the end of the week, God, I know that these kids are going to be looking up to these counselors and assistant counselors so much. And what a cool thing, God, that even before we know these kids, you already know the groups perfectly. You have already matched people on purpose. And so, God, I pray that we would just spend the whole week figuring out exactly what you have planned and doing the very best we can to be faithful. God, help us to represent Jesus. Help us to be intentional and help us to be leaders. God, we love you and we trust you. It's all in the name of Jesus that we pray. Amen. Guys, once again, thank you so much for making this a priority tonight. You guys are awesome. I'm even just from this virtual call, I cannot wait to work with this team for a week. And so that's telling you something because we know video calls are not the most exciting thing in the world. And so thanks for making this a priority. Like I said, you will be hearing from us in the coming weeks. And then I cannot wait to see you guys on June 11th. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. See you later.